Gina, how is it your hair is perfect?
I don't know. Thank you.
I looked on my calendar. January 31st was the last time I got my hair cut.
You gotta teach Wendy. YouTube it. Somebody, I cut Gus's hair. He said I made him a mohawk, but it's not true. I'm a little too far on the sides. What are you gonna do? Hold on, give me 1 second. Right there. Oh yeah.
Judy, you're sideways. Much better.
Sorry. I'm here. I'm here by my hair. There I am. Hold on. I'm trying to turn my Wi-Fi off because I'd rather use my data. My Wi-Fi just stinks sporadically throughout the house.
The chief got his hair cut. We can't hear you, Chief. You're on mute.
I like that. Yeah, I got a whole network of stylists at my house.
And lucky dog.
Stop over. I'll take care of it.
I might get the buzz cut, though. I don't know if I have the head for it.
No, you got to use the scissors. They got to use the scissors on you. The buzzer's easier, I think.
Oh, boy. It's getting bad.
Hopefully not too much longer.
Agreed.
We're going into phase 2 soon. Although phase 2 still didn't look like that great. I was like, wait a minute. I saw the list today. I was like, oh, I don't know. It still didn't look that great.
No.
And the thing is, if you give people this much, they're going to take this much. So they must know that, right, when they're making those requirements. You know?
Sure, you're right.
I'm waiting for the executive order to come out. I don't think it's been issued yet.
I don't know.
Which one?
Well, they're opening up tennis courts, driving ranges, gun ranges, things like that. There's additional outdoor recreational activities effective Friday, 6 a.m.
All right. John, does that mean you'll be back on the tennis courts?
I don't play tennis. Are you a tennis player?
Not even close. I play bad golf.
Well, I can do that.
Okay. Well, now you'll be able to have foursomes, right? Tee off for foursomes, because how do you even get an appointment?
Well, right now it's been limited to twosomes.
Right. How does that even?
And it's 16 minutes apart. So, the good news is if I play golf with my son, there's nobody in front of us and nobody behind us. The bad news is that getting a tee time is severely restricted because, instead of sending 2, 3, 4 people out every 10 minutes, you're sending 2 people out every 16 minutes. You're letting 8 people play, golf an hour.
Yeah.
And if you're open 10 hours with tee times, that's 80 people a course. Even at Fiddlers, that's 240 people a day when membership's over 800.
Yeah.
And then you wear masks, and there's no rakes to do the bunkers. You got these flag sticks that you could pop the ball up by using your putter without touching anything, and it comes out.
Okay.
So anything within 30 feet is good, is what you're telling me, John.
I can't wait to get out there. Nice.
Anybody going anywhere for Memorial Day weekend? Out of New Jersey?
Home.
Home? Yeah.
Where are you gonna go? You go to
Yeah.
the beach, I guess, and social distance and not be able to eat or drink anywhere.
Who are the Crolls, I think, are in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach, wherever that is. And they said that it was nice to sit in a place and have a beer.
Yeah, I've had a college friend. They live in Morristown. They have a condo or a townhome. They downsized, but they've been down in Georgia at either the family's home or he inherited it since March 17th. He sends me pictures of him in a restaurant or made a big deal. He got a haircut, sent a picture of his barber's chair.
Lucky.
Showing off. See, in the barber's chair.
Yeah.
Well, the Oregon's governor's lockdown till July 6th was just struck down by a judge out there.
I saw that.
Where was that? In Georgia?
Oregon.
Oregon. Huh. Oh boy. Yeah.
Someone has a pup.
I think Renee does.
Well, yeah, that's my dog barking.
Well, I have a 3-month-old golden retriever. That's why I'm bunkered up in one of my daughter's old bedrooms because he makes a lot of noise.
Yeah, puppies do. But it's a good time to get a puppy because you're home.
It worked out very well because we were wondering before this started how we were going to both work and deal with him being alone, although there's another dog at our house. So
Your puppies are a lot of work, so that's good. You can potty train it or whatever, house train it, whatever it's called.
I'll come up here.
And it's nice.
Okay, everyone is Judy. It's 7:03. And we've got Doug, who's muted, Colin, who's muted, Gina, and Renee, who's also muted. So I will recognize that we have a full complement of the Bedminster Township Committee. So start the meeting. Welcome to the Bedminster Township Committee regularly scheduled meeting of May 18th. Ms. Sullivan, may we please have the Open Public Meetings Act statement? Judy, we're not hearing you.
I'm sorry. I was muting. I muted myself. You can hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Township Committee was sent to the Courier News in Somerville, to the Burnsville News in Whippany, to all subscribers, and posted at the Municipal Building as of January 7th, 2020.
Great, thank you. Please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. If you don't have a flag, you've got the one right behind me. So we'll do this nice and slowly. We've learned from several meetings. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
To
to the
flag
of the United
the
States of
United
America,
States
America.
of America, and to
And
the
to the
republic
republic
Republic.
for which it
which
stands,
stands
Yeah.
one nation,
one nation,
Nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty,
justice.
liberty,
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
We're actually getting better, and we've passed the land use board on their ability to recite the pledge. Before we proceed with the rest of the Township Committee meeting, a moment of silence again for Sergeant Altric Patterson. And we wish everyone who is suffering with the coronavirus and COVID-19 a speedy recovery. A moment of silence, please. Ms. Sullivan, we have 2 minutes that need to be approved. Those are the May 4th,
Yes, sir.
2022 regular Township Committee meeting. It was held via Zoom, and the May 4th closed session executive meeting that was started around 8:30, again on Zoom. Has everyone had the opportunity to review? And if you have any questions or comments, have you already directed those to Ms. Sullivan? If you haven't, now's a good time to do so. Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make the motion, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None? Thank you.
Permits and raffles. We are going to proceed with a couple of these permits and raffles, but we're going to hold out item D for just a little bit. I think we're going to address that after public comment. So the 3 permits and raffles that we're going to consider immediately are amendment of RL 284 for 100 and Healthcare Foundation. And that is moving that to September 30, 2020 at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. Oh, and B, we're also, well, no, B, we're going to proceed with. B is a special use permit. That's a signage for the Bedminster Farmers Market from June through October 2020. C is amendment of social affair permit 355334 for Special Olympics of New Jersey at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club. And that is being moved to September 16, 2020. Any questions regarding those permits or amendment to permit?
No.
No, Mayor.
We have a motion to approve items A, B, and C.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so the 4th one is a special use permit for outdoor seating for Delicious Heights, which I want to do after public comment. So let's now go to public comment. And as we've been doing with these COVID Zoom calls, we're having one public comment session. So this is the one opportunity for the public to make any comments regarding Bedminster. We don't have any ordinances on tonight, so no public comment for ordinances. So this will be the opportunity. Ms. Sullivan, you want to give the direction for anyone who may want to make public comment?
So I'm looking to see, we have several members of the public that are on. Most of them are with regard to the special use permit that we are going to talk about shortly. I do see the Burnsville News is on the call, and some other business people in town that may also, I think, are here to hear more about the special use permit. There is an ability for someone to raise their hand if they wish to speak. Or there's also a reaction that you can do with just a thumbs up or not. That would give me enough to recognize you. But I don't see anybody doing that. So I don't see anybody from the members of the public that have any comments.
Okay, we'll give that.
Everyone is muted.
Okay, so the first item before we get to monthly report committee, monthly report discussions by committee and subcommittee chairs and the liaisons, is the special use permit outdoor seating for Delicious Heights from 12 to 8 p.m. And we'll get into a little more detail about that. But before we get into the discussion about that application, Township Committee will remember that at a prior meeting, I had asked each Township Committee member to go back to their boards, their commissions, their committees, for which they are liaisons, and also to engage with the township professionals. about how we can look at reopening when the time is appropriate and the governor and the federal government give us that direction on reopening. What can we do for our businesses to get our businesses moving again? And this is retail and restaurants and nail salons and other personal services and the professional offices that we have, to do so and to do so in a manner that is protective of the public as well as the employees and anyone else who may be visiting those business establishments. So one of the things that we had sort of thrown out there was first focusing on some of the retail establishments. And we talked about outdoor dining, sidewalk sales, and accommodating curbside pickup. As may be timely, Delicious Heights came in with, showed us an idea of what they were thinking about for some outside seating at the restaurant. And at last week's land use board meeting, we sort of took that as an example and said, okay, is this something that we can take across the township? Not just for Delicious Heights, but for all the restaurants, for all the food establishments. Is there a way that we can facilitate outdoor dining by obviously special use permits, maybe one way of doing it, and it could be on an individual basis. And there are some really good ideas that came out of the land use board meeting. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I do want to sort of put that out as the baseline for this discussions and this one discussion we have for Delicious Heights. So what I'd like to do right now is, Judy, do we have a Delicious Heights representative?
Yes, we
In
do. We
attendance.
have Mr. Aquaviva, who's the owner of Delicious Heights, and Jean Marie Cranston, who is an employee there.
How you doing,
Okay.
everybody? How you doing, Mr. Mayor?
We're doing well. How are you?
Hey, trying to survive these times like everybody else,
Understood.
but staying safe. So that's the important part.
So Mr. Aquaviva and Ms. Cranston, we're going to turn it over to you real briefly for just a discussion, a presentation of what your application is for, and tell us the do's and don'ts of what you're looking for, and let's hear you out.
So, our industry has been hit the hardest in a sense of, the restaurant industry. So I think that, we all want to give it a rebound and try to come back. I mean, everybody wants a fighting chance. But something that really comes down to, backing the restaurant is the dining. So if we're going to be restricted to something like 30% or 50% dining, I think that really restricts restaurant business as a whole. In the past, I've learned that Bedminster's location has naturally slowed down in the summertime because we don't have outdoor seating. So I would imagine that with this turn on, outdoor seating is going to be where people would like to go, especially in the nice weather, feeling safe. So I feel like that would give not just me, any restaurant, an advantage to try to get some people back and try to get back, on the horse. So what we're trying to do is take an area of our parking lot where we can block off the Hillside Avenue area with like movable planters, something on wheels. I want to use dining room furniture that's meant for outdoor, proper cleaning surfaces. They're stackable and collapsible. This way, each night we can just set up our dining room in the morning, collapse it down at the end of the night. Leaving space for emergency fire vehicles. If they need to come in, these things while we're there 12 to 8, we could easily move these things on wheels. And then when we're not there, we park these things somewhere else. So God forbid something happens during hours we're not there, emergency vehicles can get in there and, get to where they need to get to. Still trying to keep the traffic flow pattern working with the curbside takeout. Our idea is to make those designated spots like in the front area of Bedminster. Those would be our curbside pickup. This way, customers don't walk through the tables and kind of, again, I'm looking this. I want customers to have a safe dining experience, and I think that something that gives us, the desire for customers to come back is if they know that people aren't going to be next to them. So with the outdoor parking, that gives us the space to kind of leave people spaced out and still continue to service our curbside takeout on the other side of the building. Hence, people coming in, we go out to them, drop off their meal, they pull out. The people that are coming in on a reservation basis are coming in, they're at a reserved table, and they're going to be outside. So in our Bedminster community, I feel like the outdoor dining would really attract the customers back, and that's what gave us the idea to apply for this application.
So I noticed that the hours are these the requested hours 12 to 8? Would you have any interest in going beyond 8 o'clock?
I mean, we're going based off of the hours that the state is regulating us to. So right now, the stay-at-home order kind of says 7, but you get home by 8, if I remember right. So that's how we kind of base this off of. At the same time, I'd like to, if this is something across the board, all restaurants, of course we want to stay open later. Like if we could do dining until 10 p.m., 9 or 10, 9 on the weekdays, 10 on the weekends, that'd be great. But I also understand the fact that this is now a new outdoor thing, and these are neighborhoods that we have to consider, and people, the noise level, and what people want to hear and don't hear. So if people are kind of done eating at 8, 8:15, 8:30, I don't think that's a problem. If people are done eating, 10:30, 11, midnight, then all of a sudden, I think that we'd hear the neighborhood, the residents complaining. So I like to try to keep these guys in mind as far as keeping noise level down and activity down. So just having that curbed hours would be great. The restaurant's still open, so I'm hoping that after that time, people would be, oh, you want to go back into the restaurant? At 9 o'clock, we're 30% capacity, but we only have that many people to kind of then lure them back into the restaurant and keep them there till 10 o'clock, 10, 11.
So it's my understanding from having certain discussions with the governor's office that there will be an encouragement of outdoor dining, and that maybe as some of the restaurants go through a phased opening, certainly reducing capacity inside gives you the opportunity to spread some of these folks to an outside area. Also gives you an opportunity to probably provide a little more social distancing for your tables outside. And it's really not clear at what point would that 8 p.m. recommended restricted time that the governor's office came out with probably about a month and a half ago, if that will be lifted. But I think at some point we do have to anticipate it will be lifted. So I just want to be clear as to what that outside time for you would be. Is it dusk? Is it beyond dusk?
Yeah, I think part of it is the lighting and safety. So right now at 8 o'clock, it's still light out. And I bet you for the bulk of the summer, it's kind of light out till 9. So I would imagine that once it starts becoming dark, it might become a safety issue with, being outside, that unless we have lights and, that kind of setup, really after 9 o'clock, we want to kind of go them into the restaurant anyway, because there's plenty of space in the restaurant. Like what my thing is, for us to make back money at the peak times, everybody's hungry at 5 or 6 o'clock. So if we have a 30% restriction, we can only fit so many people in the restaurant. So then if there's an outdoor dining, first that brings them there like, oh, we can eat outdoor. But even if the outdoor is full, then we still have 30% inside. But then when it comes down to the dining time lessons, 8, 9 p.m., less people are out. So there's more room on the inside, while the light's going on in the outside. Now, would I like to do it till 10 p.m.? If I'm allowed to, absolutely. I'll set up lights outside to make it safe, but I guess that's asking you guys if that's possible.
So before we get into, is there anything further to your presentation, Mr. Acquaviva?
Jean-Marie, I think I got everything.
Mm-hmm. I think you pretty much have it, and what you didn't say was covered in the attachment, and I think it's in the the handout that they sent on attached to the agenda.
Okay, so I think that's it from me, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, so the application has, the Township Committee has seen the application. We've also distributed it to the Land Use Board for just some of the quick comments from the Land Use Board, but knowing full well that the jurisdiction for this sits with the Township Committee. We've also shared with our township professional staff. And now I'd like to quickly turn it over to Paul Ferraro for our engineer's comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, this is Paul Ferrero. I did issue some comments last week. I don't know if Judy, you want to scroll down to where those are. I think they're down towards the lower down on the or further down. Those are the operating ones from the.
Okay, sorry. Wrong way.
Steve Dill and I spoke about this a little bit last Thursday.
And just so everyone knows, Steve Dill is our fire safety officer.
He's also on the call, as is Chief Rock.
Oh, okay, good, great.
So the concept of the special use permit is something where it's a temporary permission, obviously granted by the Township Committee for uses that there is not a site plan approval for. That's where this falls in. And some of the comments I made are based on the history that I have from way back when the old Willie's Tavern had some expansions, and they expanded their parking lot and expanded the building. It was a rather difficult application. So that's where some of my comments come from. But my comments really are fairly basic. Number one, it's my opinion, it should be for the 2020 season. That way, if there are issues that need to be corrected, we can deal with it for 2021 if and when that time comes. Secondly, there should be no outside amplified music or a PA system. Number three, I said the outdoor seating should close at 8 p.m. Based on what the applicant put on his application, as well as the neighbors that were highly interested in the application when it came in for the site plan approval. Now, obviously, that's flexible, and the Township Committee can do what it wants there. Number four, I asked the question of whether or not there would be any outdoor heating equipment. It's my understanding that it's no, because this is limited seasonally. Obviously, if we got towards the fall and things were looking the same way, and there was an intention to go later when it was not light so long during the evening, then maybe there would be an application for some lights and heat, and that maybe is a subsequent application rather than just this first one. Number five relates to the emergency circulation around the building, and that there should be no tent or cover over the seating area. Number six talks about the tables and chairs, and will they be brought in at night or stacked to the side. It's my understanding that from what I heard just before, that they would be stacked up to the side. I think that's fine. And number seven talks about umbrellas, and they would also have to be secured at night. And finally, it's the comment on the access from Hillside. I think the idea of having planters there is a good thing, so you don't have people accidentally driving into the site, so it's clear that it's closed, but it also should be movable. There should be movable barriers, so if and when there's an emergency, they can be moved out of the way.
So what is the answer on umbrellas or any coverings for those tables?
So, yeah, it'd be nice to have umbrellas because it is a sunny spot at times out there. But again, to be closed down, collapsible, and brought in or to the side, because certain things need to be brought in. Because I think if I leave an umbrella outside at night, it may just get taken away with the wind. But like the chairs in a stacked position, they're kind of sturdy and up against the building. I don't think they're going to move anywhere. So, but at the end of the day, I feel like at the end of the shift, we break down the parking lot and make it so nothing's there and all access is open.
And Mr. Mayor, I think that's fine. I think that's a good plan and a way to manage it. And I think it's more important that we hear about that rather than, make a decision one way or the other. In my opinion, one thing that is not in my memo that I did see when I looked at the site plan again, there's a handful of diagonal parking stalls right in front of the building. In my opinion, they should not be used for parking during this because it's going to create too much of it's a relatively narrow area.
Cars come in. My idea with those parking spots were to be the curbside pickup. Label them as curbside pickup. This way, when they pull in, the blue Honda pulls in, takeout runs out the main door, drops off a bag in the trunk, and then blue Honda then proceeds to circle around the parking lot and leave.
My concern with that is that there are going to be very high turnover spots while cars are pulling in, and I think you're going to create some traffic conflicts there. I think I'd rather have it, if possible, have them pick up as they're heading out underneath the overhang there.
That's a good idea. Closer to the
Because
building is actually
The
nice.
people can call when they come in, they loop around, and by the time they get around to the door, you're out there with the food.
Exactly. And I like the covering for the employees. This way it's like, they're under the covering. Here you go. Next. Here you go. Next.
But Paul, isn't that also becoming their only exit from the parking lot?
Yes, but I think the turnover on the deliveries are going to be relatively quick. I'm more concerned about people pulling in, trying to get into the site coming off of Main Street than I am about backup of one or two cars trying to get off the site. Because if they're stuck on the site, it's really for a minute and there's no serious conflict of traffic there. But if you're trying to get off of Main Street, you have a narrow driveway where you come out because it narrows down even more, and then people are trying to get off the road. So I think it's better to have them stack up on the way out than the way in.
Yeah, I have to agree because if there's no parking spots there, then because I drive in the alleyway often, I can see if somebody was to abort the portico and try to just go out around the portico, there actually is a decent amount of space if there's no cars parked on that right side where two cars can kind of pass each other.
We also have to realize that the restaurant traffic isn't going to be as heavy as normal. So, and would only be really reservations. We would only take walk-ins if there was capacity at the time. Everybody else would be either, sorry, we're full, or we'll have a table turning over in 5 minutes. If you sit in your car, we'll give you, and we'll send you a text when your table's ready. And when that patron leaves, then we text the car that's sitting there and they come in. But at 30% capacity, if that's what it even's going to be, I mean, we don't even know that we'll get 30% indoor capacity to start off with. We're preparing for the fact that we may only get outdoor seating to start off with. Yeah. And that's why we applied for this.
For the outdoor dining, this is table service only. This is not going to be a bar, an outside bar.
Right,
no,
only
I think
table service.
Yeah, I think everything comes from inside. This way we stick within health code. We're not preparing any food or drinks outside. Everything comes from inside and just gets, my idea with this is almost like a no contact. We come out with a tray. It goes on a tray jack. We leave it almost in a disposable fashion. Here's your whole meal. You can take it off the tray, eat everything. And then, once they take everything, the server comes back and removes the tray. And at the end, it's all garbage. It all kind of gets wrapped up and then resanitized, and then we start again.
Will there be garbage receptacles outside?
Yeah, I mean, for service, absolutely. I'm going to have to put some garbages out there.
Okay.
But we have two dumpsters behind where our employees park.
But, any garbage will be brought in, daily, cleaned and then brought in daily, just like the furniture.
And obviously, since, I'm not sure if it was Jean Marie who mentioned it, that you do anticipate that traffic will probably be a little lighter. So the loss of parking is not an issue for you all?
Yeah, I mean, if we could get filled the parking we have with this plan, that'd be amazing.
It would be.
Okay.
Quick question, where do the folks who access the outdoor dining, do they enter through the main building and then exit out through the back to get to the dining area?
No, we're going to have to allocate like one of the planter area as the entrance and like hostess setup. This way when they come in, they get greeted and then they give a direction like go to table 7. So like my idea is like they'll have it all numbered. They're going to get brought to table 7. So in some way when the server brings an order out, the kitchen can then fire out with somebody else. The whole table just goes, this whole thing goes to table 7. And I'm trying to like, be practical with the service and also kind of apply the no contact.
And is there a way to control the queuing? So you don't want obviously people congregating outside of that hostess area. Like we saw, this last weekend in New York where you had everybody standing on the sidewalk. Is there any way to discourage that?
So, I mean, we can ask people to sit in their cars while they're waiting for reservations. We can also like mark out areas that are 6 feet apart so reservations don't kind of, encumber one another.
Right.
Kind of mark an area where you stand over here. But I would imagine that another good way to be like, stay in your car and we'll text you when the table's ready. This way, like, oh, our table's ready, guys. Let's go. You know, this way a family in a reservation is staying within their own confines. And then when it's available, then they're getting out. And then we control when we want to text people. So all of a sudden we got too many tables already. Don't text all 10 people at once. Text 3 people, text 3 people, text 3 people.
Makes sense.
Paul, quick question. So this whole social distancing and this phased reopening that the governor has announced, everything is fluid. And at some point right now, if you were to start, you might start with less tables. And then if the social distancing is relaxed, you could see more tables coming in. So, my question for Paul is, how do we police that? How do we say, just if the governor gives you the green light to have outdoor dining on June 1, we want your tables limited to this. If the social distancing requirement is relaxed even further, then maybe you can throw additional tables in there. Is there a way that can be structured?
This would be my thought, Larry. I think, the 6 foot distance is going to be something that's going to be what it's going to be. I think the layout that they show is probably a reasonable maximum density that you could get out there in this area. That's probably the most number of tables you're going to be able to get. So my recommendation, if the Township Committee wanted to approve this, is approve this as a maximum. The actual number of tables are subject to the requirements of the state. Somebody else from the state is going to tell them how far apart the tables must be, how many chairs are the maximum that you can have at any one table, and that sort of thing. I don't think we should try to set those parameters, because that's going to be coming down from the State Department of Health, the governor's office, and the county health department.
Okay. Steve Dill, do we have, are you on?
Might be muted.
There we go. Hopefully
Okay.
muted.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. So let us know your thoughts.
So no, again, like I said, Paul and I had talked last week about it. And again, the biggest thing, and I talked to Matt Draheim, the chief of Bedminster, a little bit, and again, was the access still coming in off a hillside if need be? And that's why, like, when Paul and I talked about the planters maybe being on wheels and so forth. So again, if they have to get in there, they could move them and to get a truck in and so forth. Other than that, really no other, no real issues. The fire code states, again, with the seating and so forth, like Paul was saying, again, it's going to come down probably from the governor and so forth, what they're allowing. If they don't, again, we still have in the fire code and so forth, in their tables and chairs, the amount of seating they're allowed to have in a certain area. If it does get to that point where they open it up, again, we have calculations that we can go figure that, gives them the amount of the tables and chairs in an area. So, but I think, like Paul was saying, the governors are going to come down with more restrictions than what our code is actually. So, no, other than, like I said, the planters and so forth, as a fire-wise, no, I think everything else is fine.
So Steve, you're okay with the planters if they're on wheels and they could be moved around?
Sure, more so off hillside. That's the only real part where access-wise that might be an issue, again, that we talked about. And even that, it's not earth-shattering. But I think if we can have those coming off a hillside movable, that would be probably most beneficial.
Steve, if you take Paul's idea and you get rid of those diagonal parking spaces right in front,
correct,
does that help an emergency vehicle to come in off of Main Street, or is the bottleneck the entrance itself?
Really, the only issue would be for our ladder truck. That's going to be a tight fit coming in off of 202. And again, it's not the end of the world if the ladder truck can't get in there. But if we can make it a little easier for that to have access coming in off a hillside. Again, the engine can come in off of 202. But we do have the standpipe for the sprinkler system is off of Hillside. So most likely that everything should really be happening off of Hillside. But yeah, the engine we still said can fit in. Again, if there's a car fire or something silly like that in the parking lot, the engine itself can come in off of 202. It's not an issue. But I do like what Paul was saying is eliminating those parking spaces, by the overhang there.
Okay. And Mr. Alcaviva, just as we're talking about those planters, and as a resident of Hillside, what type of plants do you intend on a screen on the Hillside Avenue side?
Well, I'm open to what can go in there. We were thinking about building the boxes out of wood, putting them on like heavy duty casters that lock. This way it's like, put them on something that's like commercial grade, like our kitchen equipment. This way the rolling of this is easy. I want to keep them kind of low as far as the wood, and then the actual tree itself, something with practicality and cost in mind that's going to survive. You know what I mean? That, we'll water daily and would be a good barrier signal for people to come in. I'm not an expert in a bush, the tree field. So if there's a landscape architect in the group that knows something that works in Bedminster, I think I'm open to whatever's going to live.
I think we're probably thinking something along the greenery line, something that's hardy. Because obviously, like Ralph is saying, it's not like our primary thing, but maybe something along the area of a small arborvitae or a small fern, or maybe some boxwoods or something like that.
Paul,
I'm sorry. I was just going to say,
Paul, I was going to ask you.
In my opinion, I'd put boxwoods in there. The deer don't eat them. You put arborvitae in, you'll have people eating during the day and the deer eating at night, and you won't have much left over after about 2 weeks. So I would put boxwoods in there. They're pretty compact. They don't grow very fast, so they won't get out of control. And you can put a couple of them in each of the boxes and create a nice barrier.
And you think that'll work? I mean, I know that we're not a land use board, but a number of us on Township Committee have served on the land use board. And, as a resident of Hillside, I would want to make sure that there is adequate screening, especially for the homeowners who are not too far away.
Boxwoods are perennial.
Not to drill down on the size of the plants or the height of the plants, but I think that this is an important element for the residents.
I think there would be some good interest if you could put some annuals in there as well, some flowers, basically in and around the boxwoods. Not to go overboard, but just provide some breakup so it's not just the green.
Yes, it'll give some curb appeal, which I think it's important to. I mean, people are going to be in a parking lot, so if we can give some environment, that's nice. I mean, like in my thought was thinking mainly that these things are going to be kind of hardy. So just in case somebody decides to pull in, they're just tapping into a big box.
I actually had a question on that, and that's maybe for Paul, Chief, and Steve, which is, are there additional measures that are required, be it orange cones or sawhorses or something? Because we see what goes on at the farmer's market relative to parking, and I'm just fearful that low boxwoods or something may not be the visual deterrent as somebody's coming off 202, 206 and then pulling right in there by road, because they've done it a million times before.
I mean, if you wanted to, you could put initially some traffic cones out there in between the boxes just to give a little more visibility. You don't want it to look too industrial, but maybe for the first week or two, just as people get used to it, to make sure there's a little more visibility. I would hate to see something like reflecting tape or something like that put on these boxes, because that's not what they're for.
Yeah.
We can also say, if this were to come down that we're going to get the green light for this, put just a temporary sign, attach it to the pillar of the portico, and just say, as outdoor dining opens, the Hillside entrance will be closed, during this time period or something like that. So if people are coming in ahead of time to take takeout or something, they at least have a little bit of a heads up.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask, actually, in your voicemail message, as well as instructing your folks that are taking the orders to just remind the clients as they call for their order, just remember where Hillside Avenue is closed. I think just by practice, that would be a good way to get the word out as well.
We could also do it through our reservation system, I'm sure. When we use Open Table, when we take a reservation, we can also put that in the notes when they accept the reservation, that entrance is closed temporarily.
Yeah.
Chief Rock,
Sir.
your
I'm-
thoughts?
No, I'm happy to hear about, the partition, prevent like a safety mechanism for somebody in a motor vehicle approaching the dining area. The only thing I'm looking at the schematic here, my thought process would be to, instead of bringing the cars into this, I'll call it the center channel of the parking lot, and then they have to come right towards the dining area and make a left-hand turn to exit. Is it possible to send them to the furthest lane on the north side of the parking lot? So they're coming straight down, parallel to the dining tables rather than possibly going straight into them and having a incident.
I have no problem with that. I just put that there because whatever, but that's a good observation.
Because I think the human error in turning as you're approaching, where people are sitting outside and it's,
I think
parking.
you're absolutely right. Yeah, the other way.
So Chief, you're suggesting take those up arrows that are moving to the left and make them go to the right, and the other arrows go to the left.
No, I was suggesting keeping it.
There's another lane up here. There's another
that's
lane
right.
above
There's
it.
that other lane. Right.
And just flow the
Go up.
traffic up until the furthermost northern area, so it circles out, and then you make the left-hand turn up where the, I guess, the employees park. And this way, you're not going to have headlight traffic in the diner's eyes as well.
Yeah, that's another one.
So they're gonna come this way. Up here.
Yeah, you'll have to blank out a couple of parking stalls to get that
Right.
circulation so they go further north. But I think that's going to be some temporary signage you're going to have in there for your curbside pickup anyway.
Well, I think we also plan on having an attendant out there to direct people accordingly, so that people just don't turn, wherever they want to the closest spot.
Committeeman Hickey, that sounds like a call for someone who's experienced with the flag.
Exactly. Hey, you got to tell people where to go, or they'll make it up as they go along.
So, Chief, any concerns with the everyone in Bedminster is well accustomed to drinking outside, but I do have to ask the question: any concerns with serving alcohol outside? Does that impact the licensing at all?
Are you
Chief
asking
Rock,
Ralph and I? Oh.
No, I'm actually asking the chief, who's on mute.
That's a great question, Mayor. I believe it's a 33 license. I have to dig down and do a little, the premises license, and I know with the what the governor had done, that they're allowed to, that 33 license, they were allowed to sell takeout at this point, just, from the establishment. So I don't know if the ABC came out with any regulations regarding what exactly is covered under that type of license.
But do you see any policing issues with
I think it's,
alcohol
I
served
think
out there?
the only concern would be monitoring the fact that, people aren't like slipping in to their dining tables and bringing their own alcohol, so it could be monitored and, people aren't served too much.
Yeah, and I think that we can cover that with the outside staff. We're appointing the greeter, hostess on the entrance, that person to come in, and depending on how many people come, a parking attendant. Kind of, if we're outside already, I think it's easy to keep an eye on who's doing what in the parking lot and still obey, alcohol awareness especially within our square of patio. And then once, out of there, alcohol doesn't leave or enter.
So let me open up to the Township Committee, and then we'll, I know we do have some neighboring business resident business. So Township Committee, Mr. Doug, you already made some comments. Anything else?
No, Mayor, I think that this makes a lot of sense, and I think that where we can provide an alternative like this with minimal inconvenience to the community. I think when you put it all up on the scales, I think it's a net sum positive for sure for the community. I think folks are looking for safe places to congregate and hang out and sort of get back to some sense of normalcy. And I think this is a great first step. It's one of our, primary establishments in town. And I think it's a well thought out plan. And I like all the comments that were made tonight. And I appreciate Mr. Aquaviva, your willingness to be flexible with it. So I think it's all in all a good example of everybody coming together and coming up with a common good. So well done, everybody, in my opinion.
Thank you.
It's like I just have, it's funny because I wrote it down and I forgot to ask it. Now, Delicious Heights is known for many things. One of the you guys are known for is for having the music outside or inside, and also for a couple of televisions, maybe 1 or 50. Any plans for having televisions outside?
No.
Okay.
We don't need, we're not looking for that type of, because, when we were talking about things, we talked about, oh, we'll put a little rolling bar outside. We're not looking to do anything we're not supposed to be doing. We're not looking to make them congregate. We're trying to keep people in their cars as much as possible. It's, to be honest with you, at this point, as tables turn over, the bit faster they turn over, the better for us. So it's not that they can, sit outside at a bar and keep people there for a game or whatever. So we're looking to turn the tables, to be honest.
Okay, great. Colin, I know you asked some questions, but anything further?
Well, first off, I just want to applaud you folks for a creative solution. I got to tell you that, having to go to Peapack Gladstone all these years for outdoor dining in Azuro, I was always disappointed that we didn't have that in our own backyard. So I'm delighted that you approached us with what I think is a well thought out plan. As Tom Collins, our land use board attorney, reminded us last week at the land use board meeting, these special use permits are very easy, they're expedient, they're flexible, and most importantly, they let you learn from your mistakes because they have a limited life. So I think this will be a good first step in terms of seeing what works and what doesn't. And then, Paul, to your point, I think if any consideration of heating and lighting is going to happen, let's do it later. Let's take some small steps, figure out how it's working. Then down the road, if we have to adjust it, we can do that. But I'm supportive of this application. I think it really presents a good opportunity both for you folks to restart your business, and I think it will be something that our residents will enjoy.
Woman Moreski.
Thank you, Mayor. Hey, everybody. I agree with those guys about the outdoor dining. I know that's one thing that since I've moved here, friends of mine have always asked about having more outdoor dining. So this is a nice little addition. I had 2 areas of questions. One, when we were just talking about the traffic flow, I understand how we need to have the cars come back out, but the second suggestion of how to have the cars come from up the hill and out farther, you're going to be driving by that set of tables. I don't know how close that's actually going to be, but I don't know that would be that much fun for those people sitting right by the shrubberies. But if it's not that close, it might not really be an issue. And 2, maybe it's in your description and I missed it, but did you want to have the orders already placed when people come and sit, or will we still be allowed to sit at a table and order normally and then have food delivered?
I think that, again, it's a work in progress, so things could change in some sense, because like a pre-order and an app order could be something we kind of morph into. But like right now, my initial idea is a server comes to you with a shield over their face. This way, at least the customer can see their lips, and then they take an order with gloves. And then what happens is they're going to go back into, see, part of the strategy of where this thing is because takeout and the kitchen and our private room is in that area. There's hand washing sinks. There's POS stations where, the employees can wash their hands, put in the orders. And then I think from that point, the kitchen can execute and send out the food. Like, this is table 1's food. Somebody else is going to take it out in a tray and a stand. and then leave it for the customers right next to their table. And then, they walk away. The customer actually grabs all the products. Like, I'm imagining like our same type of Versatainers takeout stuff, individually wrapped utensils. This way customers can eat, dine, and when they leave, what we can do then is just kind of throw it all out and re-sanitize. Server can change gloves, reset tables properly with what needs to be set there, if anything, really, because I'd love for it to all come out of the kitchen and then it's all garbage.
Yeah, that sounds good. And I really appreciate that you guys have thought about so many parts of this new layout, and you've included I think the concerns, or many of the concerns that your neighbors will have. I'm impressed that you guys just are looking to open till 8, because I would imagine the neighbors are going to be a little leery about what's going to happen back there. So I really think this is a really good thing for you guys, for us as patrons of the restaurant, and your neighbors. I think it's a really nice start. So thank you
Yeah,
so much.
I think it's important for everybody to realize that our goal is not to make it a hangout back there. We're not looking to do that. Like I said, we're looking to take the reservations and, let people enjoy themselves, of course, because everybody's been so cooped up, but, to move them out and move in the next group. It's just like you were trying to say, just to trying to get jump started again.
Committeewoman Fernando.
Thank you. So I just want to thank you and reiterate, thank you for the well thought out plan. You seem to have problem solved any foreseeable issues. Should anything come up, we'll just adjust it as needed. I know I've seen posts because people saw tables or setting up or something that diners are very excited about actually sitting outside. And I've been to plenty of restaurants that have outdoor seating, and regardless of traffic patterns, as long as it's safe for the diners, people don't tend to mind that at all. Personally, I'm excited to get local businesses up and running responsibly again. So thank you for that. And I just want to say, definitely put umbrellas up, because when it's sunny and hot, nobody wants to sit out in the burning sun. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, so since this is a little bit like a land use board meeting, we'd like to open for public comment. So public comment will be limited to the Delicious Heights application. So Judy, if you could once again ask.
Yes,
the
so I see there's representatives from the Pluckman Inn on the call. I don't know if they have any comments. They could certainly raise a hand or put up a thumb, if they're interested in speaking. I see a representative from Sims Jewelers who's on the call. Those are the, okay. Sarah Sokoloff, who's from Sims Jewelers. Sarah, if you want to unmute yourself.
How
there you
about
go.
now?
You can go.
Good. Hi, everyone. Hopefully
Hi, Sarah.
camera's off, right? Just kidding.
You're good.
Good. Excellent. No, I applaud what you all are trying to do. I have no issues whatsoever. I'm kind of, per Mr. Hickey, supportive. Let's see how it goes. There's, some minor concerns I have about possible congregation near my building and some security and garbage issues, but let's wait and see.
Okay, thank you for your comments, Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Anybody from the Pluckman Inn or have any comments? You can just put up your little thumbs up sign. No, I'm not seeing anything. Oh, okay, I see from Tall, I'm gonna not be able to say your is Hockey. I know he's from the Pluckman Inn. So, Tall, you're unmuted, you can go ahead.
Yeah, we just really heard about that and then wanted to listen and see what's in the plans. We like it. I think it's a good idea. I think at the end of the day, we'll all have to use some outdoor seating to supplement some lost income. So I applaud that. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you, Tal. And for both for Tal and Sarah as resident business in Bedminster, I do ask you to certainly stick around after we go through Delicious Heights, because as we go through the subcommittee chairs, Committeeman Hickey and I will be discussing what was raised at the Land Use Board, and in fact, taking some of these ideas and expanding them across the township. So it's something that we want to work with our businesses, and we're trying to be proactive here in anticipation of not just what we have now with curbside pickup for retail, for non-essential retail, but seeing those, once again, those restrictions relaxed and putting you guys in position to be back in business as close as we can make it for you. Okay, so Paul, it does sound as if there's a couple little nuances that we discussed today that are a little bit different from the application. I'd like to make a motion to approve the special use permit, but we talked about the 2020 season. We didn't really define what that is, Paul. So, I think that there's some details that need to be put into approval. And I guess the question is, are we ready to approve tonight, or is that something that could be worked out directly with Paul's review, Steve Dill and Chief Rock? And Paul, what are your thoughts? Or John Bellardo, what are your thoughts on that?
I think you could approve. I think you could approve it tonight, Mayor, and with the input, as you just indicated, of your professionals to flesh out any of the minor details. But I'm sure the applicant is looking to get going as soon as we get some guidance from Governor Murphy.
And Mr. Mayor, I think you can approve it with, I've got a lot of guidance from everything that the Township Committee has said tonight. I know the applicant's taking copious notes as well. And what I would suggest is if you do approve it, if they can have something marked up, sketched up that I could see on Thursday morning when I'm in town hall, then I can take care of it then, and I can move forward.
Okay, so
Yeah,
let's
sure, we'll take care of that.
So let's make a motion, but it'll be subject to the seasonality. So we'll put some limits on what that 2020 season is, whether that's September, October, or November, or if they do go in.
I think it ends itself, because you're not approving any light or heating as part of this application. So
Yeah,
it ends when it gets cold and dark.
with my experience at Basking Ridge, usually the last week of September, the first week of October, outdoor dining, it fizzles out for the year.
And umbrellas would be a yes. No TVs, no music. A little more detail on those plantings, that'll be subject to, well, and if there's a change in that traffic pattern, that will also be presented to Paul and subject to Steve Dill and Chief Rock. All right, so there are some issues to be worked out with the professionals. With that, can we have a motion to approve subject to that review and approval by the?
So moved.
I'll second.
I'm going to do a roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye. Thank you,
Thank
Mr. Aquaviva. Ms. Cranston?
Thank you so
Thanks,
much for
guys.
your approval.
Have a good night. Thank you.
A burger and a beer outside in the park.
That's right.
I can't wait to make that burger.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate everything.
Okay, and you guys
Best of luck to you.
Once again, you guys are resident businesses in Bedminster. We're going to be addressing some of other issues that we think may be important to our resident businesses just in the next section of this meeting. And then we're about to start that off. So let's go with monthly report discussions by subcommittee chair, Committeeman Stevenson.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everybody. I've got a historic prez coming up later this month, so nothing to report on that. other than there was a comment letter that came in from a concerned citizen concerned about sort of the scope of that committee. So I'm sure we'll hear a little bit further about that at the next meeting. More to follow. As far as DPW, we continue to get jobs done. The basketball courts over at Pluckaman have been surfaced. We're hoping to do the striping and the final coat this week, but subject to Mother Nature. I think it's going to have some rain this week, so we'll have to see with that, but that's imminent. John and his crew are out on Copperthwaite doing some drainage work out there. And of course, we're just getting into prime season on the mowing. So that's what I've got for my committees, and I'll pass it off to Mr. Hickey.
Thank you, Mr. Stevenson. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, all. In terms of subcommittee meetings, let's see, we have a week of meetings. Rec committee is tomorrow, library Wednesday, OEM, Board of Ed, and Board of Health are on Thursday. Board of Health will be hearing the Bedminster Farms application for the first time, so I'm sure we'll have more of an update at the next meeting. Mayor, are we covering COVID items right now, or are we coming back to that?
Yes. Yes. So to the extent that COVID items cross into your subcommittees or your activities for the township, now's the time to do it.
Okay, so I'll speak about the food pantry for a few moments. We're on week 6 of our food pantry. We had 95 drop-offs and 61 pickups last week alone. And in total, we provided food to about 400 families in need. I have 2 stories to share if I may quickly, because there are people on either side of those numbers. So today, little guy showed up with his mom. He was about 5 or 6 years old, wearing a Stars and Stripes mask that basically covered his entire face. And he proceeded to donate to us 26 cans. And the reason I know it's 26 is because he counted each and every one out to me. And then he showed me on each label what it was. And I got to tell you, it was awesome. It just reflects the excitement and the generosity of the folks here in Bedminster and the surrounding area. It was great. It made my day. And then on the other side of the ledger, I want you to meet Emma. Emma gave us, let's see if we can show this here. On Friday, she showed up for a pickup and said, thank you for the snacks. It was awesome. You can't see, but there's a red heart for people who can't see, but it was just, and Gina can attest, it made our day again. So there's incredible generosity, there's incredible appreciation, and it makes it all worthwhile. Just a reminder, we collect 5 days a week. We have reverted back to a Tuesday and Friday pickup because we have enough supplies to do so. We also remain in close coordination with some of the other food pantries in the area, including in Peapack, Gladstone, and Bernardsville. That partnership last week, in conjunction with a local church, allowed us to donate loaves of bread to everybody who came for pickup on Friday, multiple loaves of bread. It's hard to believe that in 2020 we're talking about bread lines, but look, it's an important asset, and we're glad that through that partnership we were able to deliver bread to those in need. Our residents, our local businesses have been incredibly generous. They always are. In addition to food donations, in the last 2 weeks alone, we have received sizable gift card donations from folks including the Far Hills Borough Council, from Sean Gagnon, who is a local resident and also runs the ABS company, from Lisa Bizarro White, representing LPW Training, and from many, many others. Again, it's amazing the generosity of folks. Also, shout out to Epicure Foods. I know I've mentioned them before, Jen Draga and Maureen Murphy, who have graciously made food products available from their business. This is cheeses, crackers, and other gourmet items that they always provide every Friday to those in need. And as always, I want to give a special thanks both to my colleagues here on the TC as well as township employees. Friday, Gina was out on the front lines working with our Spanish-speaking residents. Elena Martinez was shuttling bags and bags of groceries from Town Hall right out to the curbside. I'm going to call her Car Dash from now on, literally in both hands trying to balance things. And then our Energizer bunny of the operation, Robin Ray, who can pack a pantry bag like nobody else's business. It's amazing how we've all come together. And it was, Mayor, as you pointed out before, this thing went from conception and ideation to operation in about 2 days. And as I talked about before, there was a need, and there's been incredible generosity, and I thank everybody for that. So thank you, Mayor. That's all I have.
Thank you. And, I'll test that. I came in Thursday evening for the Linkage Board meeting, which I took from the dais up here as well. And I came in and I saw dozens and dozens and dozens of breads rolls, specialty breads, and it was just astounding, the generosity that our residents, and we also are now taking care of some of the folks from Far Hills as well. So between Bedford and Far Hills, it's just really it's heartwarming to see what really we put together in 2 days. So it's just tremendous, and those there are folks in need, and we're doing what we can. So thank you, Colin, for all that work. Committeewoman Moreski.
Good evening, Mayor. Thank you. Hi, everybody. For my EC committee update, the May 6th meeting was canceled. There wasn't much going on. However, a subcommittee did meet to discuss some of their concerns with reopening Bedminster, and actually they are very little. Their main concern is that there will be ample receptacles for easy disposal of the trash and PPE, such as masks and gloves. I know we've all seen some of those things in parking lots and just tossed over on the sides of the grass, and that's disheartening, but hopefully it just fell out of someone's pocket. But that's what the EC is worried about, and perhaps we need some signage stating, talking about our littering and our littering laws and ordinances, just as reminders. The next scheduled meeting is June 3rd, and I don't know if we'll have it. There's not really much going on, but we'll be in touch. Jacobus Vanderveer House, on May 6th, they had a conference call and finalized the plans for the Field of Honor, and that is running from May 23rd through July 11th at the Jacobus Vanderveer House grounds. It will be $40 to sponsor a flag, $60 to purchase a flag, and I know everybody's seen all those flags waving. They look really great. The form for sponsorship is already up on the website. It's easy to use. I've already done it. You choose first if you want to sponsor or purchase. Then you have the opportunity to write a dedication. And you also have the option to share that dedication by having it posted on the Facebook page. So I think that's a fun little thing for Jacobus Vanderveer and for the town. Most of the other programs with JBH are on hold since we don't know what's going on yet with the state. And our next meeting's scheduled for May 20th. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Committeewoman Fernandez.
Good evening, everyone. So like Colin said, the recreation meeting's tomorrow. I know people are eager to find out about summer camp, as are we. So we're waiting on some directive from the governor. But hopefully information about that will come out shortly. I'm excited to announce that the Bedminster Township will be hosting a 2-day blood drive in memory of Sergeant Patterson of the Bedminster Township Police Department. As you probably know, blood supplies are very low right now, and one donation can save up to 3 lives. So we just hope people come out and donate blood and save a life. June 4th from 2 to 7 p.m. and June 5th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., allowing for flexible scheduling at the Bedminster School cafeteria. There is a link to sign up on the Bedminster website, bedminster.us. And we wanted to give the opportunity to Bedminster residents to sign up first, and then it'll be open to the public as of this Wednesday. This is the first ever 2-day blood drive in this area, they told me, from the American Red Cross. And we're hoping to get up to 100 people to donate between the 2 days. I'd just like to remind everyone the American Red Cross workers are highly trained, and all social distancing measures will be adhered to, including all donors needing to wear a mask when they come to donate. But it's safe, and we really need people to donate blood. There's low supplies. And that's all.
Okay, thank you, Gina.
You're welcome.
So the blood drive, Gina, do we have a count on how many have already booked for blood donations yet?
No, I would have to ask them, but I can find that out for you. But we don't know yet how many people are signed up.
Joe and I already signed up.
Yay.
Mm-hmm.
And Chief, that will also be distributed to the local police departments as well?
That's correct, Mayor. I sent that the link out today to all the my fellow colleagues in the Somerset County Police Chiefs Association to at least keep it local. And if we need more, we'll send it further outside our county borders.
Okay, I'm fairly confident that we'll hit that 100 mark, which would be just terrific. All right, so as a reminder, so for all the township committee members, you go to those board meetings, go to the liaisons, or as a liaison to the boards and committees, ask those boards within the scope of their subject matter to consider reopening scenarios. And what I discussed with the land use board is that some of these boards, by their very nature, by the subject matter that they address, they may look at reopening issues expansively. And what can we do to loosen up, to make it easier for some of these businesses to open? And other boards and other committees may be restrictive. So for example, the Board of Health may have concerns about reopening. And Colin, when you meet with the Board of Health, that's something, and just as Renee mentioned about environmental. So those concerns may be a little more, let's not go crazy here, right? We still have to protect health. We still have to protect the environment. So let's look at those issues, but certainly have that discussion, and at the next Township Committee meeting, come back and report your findings. So the first meeting that we had after giving that guidance was the Land Use Board meeting. And so we got into sort of three general discussions for reopening scenarios. One was outdoor dining and looking at it as a town-wide approach. So the first thought, my idea, and I give credit to Judy for this, was, hey, we have special use permits that work for outdoor dining. So outdoor dining can be done on a special permit by special permit basis. And we could identify, look, hey, all the restaurants, all the eateries, this is what you can have available for you. Bedminster will work with you for these special use permits. Another idea was coordinating with the businesses, the retail businesses primarily, to work on sidewalk sales, also to work on if they're going to do curbside pickup, do they need any assistance from engineering? Because if they're going to take up parking that might otherwise be part of an application or a requirement, and they need to locate the parking to make sure that both Steve Dill's office and Paul Ferraro's office get the chance to make sure that those dedicated curbside areas are going to be appropriate and safe. And we could have that process set up as a special use permit review. Another issue that came up during the land use board meeting was enabling the businesses to actually bring their cash registers outside, and maybe have runners to go from an outside register inside into the brick and mortar to pick up and sort of ferry merchandise in and out, swipe it, or pay remotely right there outside and move on. And that would seem to be consistent with some of the recent directives coming out of Trenton. So we talked about these special use permits, and I will say that Tom Collins, our land use board attorney, said, Larry, what you could do is you could actually set this up as a special use permit town-wide. And instead of having individual applications, set it up township-wide, and then have it each individual go through staff, Paul's office, Steve Dill's office, Chief Rock's office, to give comments, review and approval, and treat it that way. So I know we do still have the folks from the Plucky in. So the Plucky, you've got that little outside brick patio. Seems like you're already well situated to convert to an outside dining experience, and perhaps if that can be done in an expedited fashion, that's something that we should consider. And anyway, I'm quickly going to turn to Paul and Colin, who were both at that land use board meeting. And I know there were lots of notes and fast and furious handwriting and trying to go through some of my notes and read my scribble, but I'm trying to see if I've picked up all those elements that we discussed and look to you guys to fill in any blanks that I may have missed. So Paul, we still have you?
I think he's left the meeting.
Oh, then Colin, how about you?
Mayor, the only one you didn't mention was possible use of signage and a color code.
Signage.
Red, green, and yellow.
I have that if you want to see
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and I will give credit to this to Janine DeLeon. So Janine mentioned that the shopping center in Bernardsville, I think it's the King Shopping Center in Bernardsville, had a sign system that in the windows of the stores, they were doing color-coded signs, which would indicate we're closed, we got nothing, we're open for curbside, or we're open for, walk-in. And actually, I see that up there right now. And Judy, I think what you need to do is, yeah, that's right, you open it up. So Janine's idea was that this is perhaps something that we could open up town-wide. So whether it's on 202, 206, or in the shopping centers, that there'd be some program set up throughout town for the residents, for the businesses. Hey, this is how you can enjoy this retail experience, right? It could be supermarkets are open. Some are going to be curbside, and some right now may be closed. Hopefully, there's less and less of the closed retail experience. But this is something that Janine mentioned, and she wasn't sure if it was being adopted townwide in Burnsville or it was just unique to that one shopping center. But it was certainly something. Yep. So, Colin, any thoughts on Janine's idea?
I guess the question is, Judy, can you throw it up on the screen so everybody can see it?
I do have it.
It's up there.
No.
You don't see it?
I'm in the wrong view. There we go.
Tech guy.
So Janine got a couple different options for like a 24 by 36 full color is $55. An 18 by 24 is $35, and an 18 by 24 both sides, like a lawn sign, is $20. These are just some prices she got from Bernardsville Print as an idea.
And that would be on the business owners to purchase those and post those, correct? It's nothing, we're not.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. No. We're not ordering them.
Right.
But it's also, remember, signage is something that is also approved by the land use board. So it becomes within the purview to do a temporary sign through a special use permit. So this sign, which would perhaps in other times might be viewed not favorably by some of the folks in Bedminster, but look, to get these businesses up and going, I think we've got to show some latitude, and not only that, but actually promoting some signage that's going to let folks know that their businesses are around and they're available. So this is something that could be done through a special use permit, saying, if you want to put these types of signs up in your windows, that this could be pre-authorized under a special use permit. Once again, go talk to Paul Ferraro for details, or someone else, or Dill or Chief Rock, or whoever is going to have jurisdiction over the specific review. But we don't need to take action. We don't have any pending resolution. We have made a special use, a township-wide special use permit, but it is something that I think that we should be prepared to move on for our meeting on June 1. And then one of the other things we talked about is shopping centers, once again, having designated parking spaces for curbside pickup. And that's also something that could be done under a township-wide special use permit. We really only have about, 3 shopping centers. We've got the King Shopping Center, we've got the Somerset Hills where Fresh Market is, and then the one with Little Pickles, maybe you would count the Quick Check Market as well. Although I don't think Quick Check is that strip center is going to be as critical, but you could designate certain parking spaces within. So, for example, the King Shopping Center, maybe 2 spaces, one for the stores on one end and one for the stores on the other end, and you could set it up that that area is for curbside pickup. Folks can come in, get their either their stuff dropped off directly, or they go in and pick it up, and they're in and out, and you can do it in a way that accommodates traffic flow safely. So these are some of the issues that we discussed at the land use board meeting, and I thought they were critical to bring them back to the Township Committee. John, John Blardo, I take it that you see no problem with doing township-wide permits, just subject to professional review?
I do not, Mayor, given the crisis that we're involved in presently. I think that's expeditious and the best way to go about doing that. And I'm sure our professionals will oversee everything to make sure it works properly.
Great. So now,
I do
John,
have a question.
yeah, I was going to say, how would we move? And maybe Judy, this is where you're going?
Well, no, I have a question because we currently do have a $200 fee that Delicious Heights did pay for this special use permit to come before you tonight. If we're going to do something town-wide, would that fee somehow change, or would it be waived temporarily, or something of that nature?
I mean, I think if we do a township-wide special permit, then that's probably something that we could waive.
So I think for that case, I'll hold on to Delicious Heights check and see, how this pans out before we.
Right. As of now, we don't have one. We don't have a township-wide permit. They did come in early. And I don't want to get bogged down in $200, but I do just generally think that as we move forward, that if we do adopt this township-wide program, that we would not be charging individuals just to come in and take advantage of that one permit or 2 permits that we've offered.
I do have the sample resolution from Tom Collins. I can circulate that for the next meeting.
That would be great.
Certainly the nature of some of these are such that they are in the public good and they have to be handled commonly. I mean, you look at the curbside pickup, you don't want everybody implementing those individually, because then it will truly be curbside pickup and will create a traffic mess. You can only imagine folks going to King's and all the surrounding shops and pulling up curbside, and it will be a hazard and a safety issue. So having that designated and kind of created for the common good of all the residents and all the businesses, I think is imperative, and that should not be borne by the individual businesses themselves.
Colin, just
Agreed.
as an example, the other day we picked up dinner from the sushi place by King's and Sakana, and there was a DoorDash guy sitting, waiting outside the door, waiting for his several orders, which I was happy to see, and people were ordering, but he was sitting in the fire lane. And I could see that could happen again and again.
Absolutely.
Right. And I think that exactly was Paul Ferraro's concern, is that, look, if it's going to be each store doing it, especially in a shopping center like King's, it's going to be a problem, right? You got pedestrians walking across, you've got the sidewalks. If you have the designated areas and you work that out with the shopping center. And so one of the ideas was that there'd be outreach to the property managers for the King Shopping Center and to the property manager for the Somerset Hill Shopping Center. I know we actually, Tim Walter from the land use board had, or during the meeting, actually reached out to the owners of Somerset Hills, and they were Somerset Hill Shopping Center, and they were certainly interested in working with the town and participating in a program to do so. So that's something that we do want to encourage and see that developed. And so for any of the business owners and business reps who are still on the call, please reach out to Judy if you have questions or comments, or directly to any township committee members with those ideas and recommendations. And we'll try to incorporate that into a permit program. Or if there's other permits that we're not thinking about and that would be helpful for the businesses and helpful for our residents, we want to hear that as well. And once again, that's on the expansive side. If there's restrictive sides, if there are restrictive issues that perhaps, once again, Board of Health may say, all right, we want to, encourage thermometer testing, we want to encourage this type of PPE in use, that's certainly something that should be considered by the township as well. Farmers market, right? So the same idea is, how do we take the farmers market, which has become sort of a de facto meeting place for the town, and how do we also operate the farmers market in a way that can facilitate the reopening for some of our businesses? So we're going to be set up to strictly accommodate social distancing and PPE requirements as those guidances are issued from the CDC. The vendors will be spaced out. We're going to have a dedicated entry, a dedicated exit. And this weekend, I did check out a couple farmers markets to see how they're operating. And they were operating just as the CDC said, and similar to how we're setting up the farmers market to start up on June 4th. But one of the things I wanted to do was to do outreach to, once again, our resident businesses to see, you may not be able to sell at the farmers market, but you could show up at the farmers market as a reminder that you're here, you're going to be reopening, and you might want to bring some product there. You may not be able to buy it here, but you certainly, this is what we're carrying. Remember us, we're available for curbside pickup until we can open up, hopefully in a few weeks from now. And if that's something that we can do to help those businesses, that we should be able to do so. Colin, I know you reached out to Designer Appliances, and this could be an opportunity for them to show their outside grills, what they have available. Same could be done for Riccardi, the hardware store at the King Shopping Center. Last year, we had Delicious Heights, I believe twice, doing breakfast sandwiches and guacamole at the farmers market. Love to have those guys back. And frankly, to all the resident businesses, if there's an opportunity that we can showcase you in some fashion or another at the farmers market, we could do, one, maybe two for each day of the farmers market, set you up a little further away from the vendors, but have folks, walk by, see your signage. And once again, a reminder that you're around. Farmers market will be opening on June 6th, and fair amount of work going into setting it up. We've actually have more vendors this year than we had last year, and we'll be monitoring for social distancing, PPE, and just as Renee mentioned, making sure that there's adequate trash. So for folks who may be using disposable masks or gloves, that they are disposed of properly and not just thrown on the ground. And yes, Renee, I have seen it. I saw it at River Road Park this weekend, and was not particularly pleased to see that in our park system. That's it for my report. And Ms. Sullivan, will we please have the administrator's report?
I will be quick with my report. For the first time ever, I believe, Bedminster, as will most towns in New Jersey, be sending out estimated tax bills. due to the fact that although we have submitted our budget to the state for review, a lot of towns haven't done that yet, and the county can't set the county rate until all the towns have submitted, and the state can't finalize their rates until all the counties have submitted. So we're late at this point. So as a result of that, we won't have tax bills to send out when we normally would that are set with all the tax numbers that are correct. So we need to estimate those numbers. We're going to be estimating the school at 2% and the county at 2%, and that may not be absolutely what their numbers will be. And those tax bills will be going out on July 1st. And once everything is finalized and we have the accurate numbers, there will be a follow-up bill mailed out in September that will, true up any, if there was a shortfall, it will true up, and if say, you actually paid more than you were allotted to pay, that will be then deducted off the fourth quarter taxes. So everything will true up at the end. So just that will be coming out July 1st. The tax collector has put together a small insert. We'll be mailing out, we'll have room for an insert in the tax bill. I know Gina was putting together a newsletter that we were going to do just electronically or have it digital on our website, but we have an opportunity to put something out to the residents. If maybe I could hook you up with the tax collector. You can see she puts a little bit of information together, maybe Gina, and you can review it and add some of the information that you were trying to put out in our newsletter, if you're okay with that. Okay, so we can get it out.
Absolutely.
Okay. And next, we've been waiting for the update of our video system in the main meeting room. Now that we're not in there, it's a good time to do it. They are coming later this week. We've run a lot of the wire. They hope to come on Friday, and then they hope to finalize the system by next Tuesday. So that will be coming as well. My other piece of news is the primary election right now is a question mark for me. It keeps changing. Executive order came out Friday that the governor hopes to keep it mostly vote by mail. What I got today from the New Jersey Clerks Association is that each town will still be required to have at least one polling location open for the public, and that voters that do come in to actually vote in person will do so with social distancing, and they will only vote by provisional ballot. There will be no voting machines available, so it will be very different. So details are still coming in on that. I had a call from the County Board of Elections today, so we're still sorting through how that will work. It is still slated for July 7th. So more to come. The other thing, it says in the agenda, I'm going to do a short budget presentation. The mayor and I spoke earlier with everything else we're doing tonight, and I think we'll defer that till the June 1st meeting when we are actually discussing the budget at that time. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. So discussion on introduced ordinances, we have none. Introduction of ordinances, we have none. Public hearing of ordinances, we have none. We have one item on the consent agenda. The consent agenda is a matter of routine. Got a little feedback somewhere. Routine matters. Is there anyone who wants to pull the one item off the consent agenda for discussion? If not, may we have a motion to approve the one item on the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
There you go.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Okay, we do have some resolutions not on the consent agenda. So the first resolution is resolution number 2020-048. This resolution authorizes the shared services agreement for the Borough of Peapack and Gladstone, the Borough of Burnsville, and the Township of Bernards for the establishment and operation of a shared municipal court. Mr. Stevenson, I ask you for an update on where we stand with those discussions.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Since last meeting, I've had a chance to go through it. I've provided comments to Judy, and we work with James Bruder, John Bruder, my bad, the attorney who's penning the document, and ironed out some of the details. The last request that Judy had touched upon last meeting was that language be added to the agreement that made sure that if a township decided that it wanted to use a different prosecutor, public defender, or judge even, that it would have to pay for that. Then when the agreement went up to Judge Ciccone at the county, the request was that the changes only be permitted to be made at the end of a term, the end of a prosecutor's term, a public defender's term, or the judge's term. At that point, the parties would all get together. We would try to have a consensus as to who would be in a particular role. And at that point, if one town or two towns wanted to go one way and the others wanted to go another, they would just apportion those costs appropriately or accordingly. We worked through the issues that were in the document. I'm fine with it. It's clear now that the only time that a town would be obligated twice would be if it was during the term of a contract. And for whatever reason, the township committee or council in a particular town just wanted to go a different direction. If it was during the middle of the contract, they would have to pay the 100% of the new professional and then continue to pay its proportionate share of what's in place for the duration of the contract. But again, I don't think anybody envisions that to be the case. There was also a provision in there about providing a backup security some days that we needed help from our friends in Bernard's. There's some limiting language in there. We got rid of that. So I'm fine with it as it's proposed. I think that even with the addition of Bernard's to the municipal court, the savings that we would see and really in the reflective of less expense down the road. So it's a net sum positive for all of the participants. I think it should be a welcome addition to the shared court. It's a good agreement for the residents.
Ms. Sullivan, do you have anything to add to Committeeman Stevenson's comment?
Excuse me. John Bruder, the attorney that wrote the agreement, did reach out to Judge Ciccone for a excuse me, a review. Judge Ciccone asked if we could get the agreement and along with adopting resolutions to her office by June 1st. So with this tonight, we are the first to review this version of the document. And both, all three, Bernardsville, Bernards Township, and Peapack Gladstone are all slated to adopt next Tuesday, the 26th. And we hope to get everything to Attorney Bruder by the 27th or 28th, and then he can forward it down to Judge Ciccone with all our documents. So this is just to get the ball rolling because there still will be a number of things we need to do regarding signage and some other building modifications to get everything in place by July 1. So we're still on track.
Okay, if there are any other questions or comments regarding the shared court agreement, raise them now. If not, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
This will be a roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Hernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution 2020-052, resolution authorizing township special tax appeal attorney to enter into a stipulation settlement relative to the tax appeal captured Richards, Andres H, and Cynthia D versus Bedminster Township docket number 01296-2019. This is a resolution authorizing a settlement of a tax appeal. Ms. Sullivan, any details?
It's not normally the practice to do a stipulation of settlement by resolution for every tax appeal that we settle. However, it is done still quite often. Our tax appeal attorney did come to us and say this particular settlement needed to be done by resolution at the request of the family. So he put together this stipulation. It authorizes the attorney to finalize the agreement. So it's not unusual.
And once again, there's no, I don't think we're paying anything out here. This is
No, there's
prospective.
no refund or anything like that in this particular settlement. There will be a modification going forward in the 2021 taxes. So.
If there are no other questions or comments, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Again, roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank
Next
you.
is Resolution 2020-053. This resolution authorizes the tax collector to process third quarter estimated tax bills to August 1, 2020. And this is in line with Ms. Sullivan was mentioning a little earlier about having to do estimated tax bills for the third quarter. Ms. Sullivan, I take it that this is relatively, well, seeing where we are, this is now a routine resolution.
Right, pretty much all the towns in New Jersey are going to be doing this. It does require a resolution in order to put the process in place for the tax collector to send them out.
Okay, if there are no further questions or comments, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.
Resolution 2020 amending for, this resolution extends the contract for professional services law firm of Bevan Mosca Judita in connection with the petition of New Jersey American Water Company for approval of increased base tariff rate and charges for water and wastewater service and other tariff revisions. Judy, just want to walk us through the change of the
So the original contract that we did with this firm was to kind of, I'll say, get the ball rolling. Mr. Mosca did give us an estimate, but he said at least to get it started, could we start off with a $25,000 approval in the contract? So that's what we did. We've now moved along. He has a settlement conference coming up on May 27th, and they have submitted 2 bills so far and done a lot of work with discovery, and we're at $22,000 and change. So in order to move forward with this, we have another bill coming in, and we'll be over the $25,000 shortly. We do have currently Bedminster is paying the bills and will be reimbursed by the other towns that are participating. Currently, we have Far Hills, we have PPAC, and we have very serious interest from Bridgewater, Branchburg, Raritan, Hillsborough, and Somerville. We have asked them all for a solid commitment by the 27th, so when Mr. Mosca goes to the settlement meeting, he will know who he's representing. So we're hoping to have, some confirmation from those other towns very shortly.
Colin, do you have any more details you want to put on that?
Just to note that those expenses are largely front-end loaded. So all the discovery, which is now 3 phases have completed, that's what adds up to the expenses. So I would anticipate, hopefully, if we do get into settlement discussions, those will conclude quickly. But they support the initiative, and I can talk more about it when we get to old business. But I would support going forward.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions or comments for Committeeman Hickey or for Ms. Sullivan? Seeing none, may we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Again, roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you.
And may we have a motion to approve the bill list pending review of individual invoices by Township Committee members?
So moved.
Second.
And one last roll call vote. Mr. Stevenson?
Aye.
Mr. Hickey?
Aye.
Ms. Moreski?
Aye.
Ms. Fernandez?
Aye.
And Mayor Jacobs?
Aye.
Thank you all. Oh, and just a quick reminder, purchase orders are in the Township Committee office as well as the bill list. Both of them need to be signed. So if you could stop in. Tomorrow is food market day, food pantry day. If you want to come in and help with the food pantry and maybe sign a few bills in the bill list, we welcome you. That's it.
Okay, any items that the Township Committee members would put up for discussion? If not, any new business? We've already covered COVID, so we're going to head into old business short-term rentals. I don't imagine there's any update on short-term rentals at this point. I don't imagine there's any update on engine braking. Pluckman Park. Judy, have you heard anything further from the residents of Pluckman Park? I know we've been doing outreach. We still have the chief. Chief, if you're there, I want to make sure that police are still continuing to do the through Pluckman Park and make sure that the seniors there know what's going on and that they have a place to call if they need anything.
Sure, Mayor. Yeah, so prior to, when COVID first started hitting hard, we went out and hand delivered like personal contact information sheets, and I got a considerable amount back. So, and they were told flatly in the memo that I also distributed that if they need anything, please call us. And if we can't, provide it, we will figure out who will get that for you. So at this point, we haven't had many calls from there. So status quo.
Okay, good. And they also at this point know of the food pantry. I know there's been coordination with that as well. All right, thank you, Chief. JCP&L outages. Mr. Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to note there were two outages in the past 2 weeks. One I mentioned previously, but I want to circle back to it. On May 3rd, Sunday, we had an outage that began around 7:30 in the morning and lasted until about noon, impacting customers on the greater Crossroads circuit, which served customers in Lower Hills, including Edgewood, Knollcrest, and Fieldstone. May 11th, which was last Monday, we had an outage that began in the middle of the afternoon and lasted until about 8:30 at night. It impacted about 15 customers in the same area who had a power outage. There were a larger number of customers, however, that were reporting outages on their cable systems. And I believe the reason for that is if you ever notice that in your neighborhood, you're going to see little green boxes with the cable company logo on them. Those are actually cable nodes. And your cable modem in your house connects via a long wire to those cable nodes. And those cable nodes take power from the utility. So when the utility power goes out, the power to the cable modem goes out, and then you're out of service. So that becomes obviously a significant issue because with the number of people who are working from home, studying from home, need to make sure that is up as much as possible. So I reached out to our JCP&L representative to investigate. I want to make sure there wasn't an underlying issue in that portion of the hills that was leading to those multiple outages. So Ms. Bianchi reached out to her reliability engineering team and investigated further. Both the failures were caused by underground line faults, but there was no correlation between the two failures. They were on different lines, different cables with different sizes, and only one was local to Bedminster. But I wanted to make sure that we're not seeing repeat performance of, for example, some of the stuff we experienced last year and before in Wood Duck Pond. But so far, so good. As always, we'll keep an eye on the situation and proactively respond if there are any additional occurrences or as the situation warrants. That's all I've got on that one.
Any questions for Mr. Hickey? Okay, next is the New Jersey American Water rate increase. And we just covered that as well. So let's go to Township Committee comments for everyone here from the public. We do have an executive session coming up. The Township Committee will not be taking any action following the executive session. We will not be returning to this Zoom call. We will be going to a different Zoom call. So after Township Committee comments, for all practical purposes, we will be adjourning the public session of this meeting. Let's start with Committeeman Stevenson.
Thank you, Mayor. My only comment was just I was happy to see the plan put together by Delicious Heights. I hope that others in the community take the lead and try to come up with creative ways to get their product to market, especially with the uncertainty that we all have here. But that's it. Just was a welcome application, and I hope it's the start of things to come. And as we reopen, we do it in a smart way, and we can get back to whatever normal was going to start to look like. But I was pleased with that. Thank you.
Thank you. Committeeman Hickey.
Mayor, thank you. I saw 60 Minutes last night, and Jerome Powell was on there. He's a Federal Reserve chairman, and he's made a comment before, but he reiterated it last night. Roughly 40% of those making $40,000 and under who were employed in February were unemployed by April. That's a shocking statistic. And those are the waiters and waitresses, the cooks, the busboys, the cashiers, the people who deliver food and do the housekeeping. They're unemployed through no fault of their own. So the kind of creativity we saw earlier this evening, look, we can either help our local businesses, which by extension means helping their employees and the network of people who provide them goods and services, or we'll see those same folks on the food pantry line. And that's not sustainable. So anything we can do from a creative standpoint to help our businesses do a relaunch and come up with creative ideas and to assist them, I'm all for, because it's critically important. And I just want to thank the committee for their creativity tonight, and I encourage other businesses to come forward. As the mayor said before, let us know if there's something else that you need or you're looking for as you start to consider the opportunities out there as you relaunch. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Committeewoman Moreski.
Thank you, Mayor. I was struck with the numbers that Robin let us know about the food pantry this week. And so I want to just say, I know that our residents don't do what they do, as in donate to the food pantry for accolades or recognition, but I believe, as everyone here does, that we should continue to thank them for all the ways they show how much they care about each other. After all these weeks, the food pantry is still well stocked every pickup day. And the team that manages the pantry, Robin, Colin, Gina, and others, are right here making sure the donations are distributed to all who ask for help. It's truly striking to see that this works every week. And I just want to say, see you at River Road Park, see you at the blood donations, and see you at Farmers Market. Have a great night.
Thank you, Renee. Committeewoman Fernandez.
You're so cute, Renee. I wanted to also thank everyone all of our residents for their generosity. As far as the food pantry goes, the hard work of our committeeman Hickey, Robin Ray, and all the township staff that help. I'm fortunate enough to be able to see firsthand the impact that it has on our families. They're so grateful. You have little kids sitting in the back seat as you come with, a bag of food. They're literally jumping, so excited, giving us notes. So you're really just, impacting the families in a way you don't even know. And I just want to thank everyone for their generosity. I'm excited to see local businesses start to open up responsibly. Outdoor seating, that sounds like right up my alley. So I'm very excited about that. And all the other businesses, whatever we can do to help them. Just remind everybody to donate June 4th and 5th in memory of Sergeant Patterson. June 4th, 2 to 7 p.m., June 5th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there's a link on the website to sign up. And lastly, I just want to wish everyone a happy Memorial Day weekend as we kick off the summer. Just want to take some time to remember our fallen soldiers and that the freedoms that we do enjoy are in fact not free. So, and that's all.
Thank you, Gina.
Mm-hmm.
So Memorial Day Parade, I have been in contact with Far Hills Bedminster Fire Department, and we will working some sort of service to honor the war dead here in Bedminster. The executive order is in place, so it cannot be a parade. So we will not have the hot dogs at the fairgrounds, but there will be activity that we coordinate with the fire department and we coordinate with Far Hills. Those details will later this week, because just as Gina said, the is coming up, so got to get that done quickly, and it most likely some sort of video that we'll post both on Bedminster, on the Far Hills page, and on the fire department's page as well. The reopening plan is not just something that we're looking to do here in Bedminster. I've been in contact with the mayors of Bernards Township, the mayor of Bridgewater, and the mayor of Bernardsville, and also Mayor of Far Hills, to talk about what we're doing, what they may be doing, and if there's some way that we can open up and provide some opportunity for our resident businesses in a coordinated fashion. And it's we had a very brief Zoom call yesterday evening, and we anticipate getting a little more detail. I think we might be with what we talked about, the special use permits here, something I do intend on sharing with the other towns, and to see if they have other ideas that they want to implement. Even compared to Burnsville, we have a relatively small, modest retail presence. But a lot of our Bedminster residents do go shopping in these other towns. So it's not just for our resident businesses, but for our residents as well. So I'll have more details as we coordinate with those other mayors, and hopefully we can expand to other parts of Somerset County as well. Also, it is May, and this is typically graduation season, right? So college graduations, not quite what they were in prior years. A lot of universities are doing online ceremonies. The 8th grade, we're not sure what they're going to be doing. The high school, we're not sure what they're going to be doing. The governor and the state police colonel did announce that drive-by ceremonies are okay. First, there was an indication that they weren't. Then there was a little bit of change saying that they are okay so long as social distancing measures are employed. In the discussion I had yesterday afternoon with the governor's office, this is a weekly phone call that we have with the governor's office, it was mentioned that perhaps maybe in July, there might be an opportunity to do something for graduations. Presumably that's not going to be for the college graduations. I think that, unfortunately, that ship has sailed, but perhaps for 8th grade and for high school graduations, there may be an opportunity to defer to July to have some sort of in-person event. It still will probably involve a degree of social distancing, but it will may be an in-person, and it all depends on the numbers, it all depends on the cases, it all depends on the stressors, on the healthcare system. But the word from the governor's office was maybe in July. So first off, to all the college graduates out there, congratulations. I see there might be someone out there who's got one. Same here, as you know. And to all the high school and 8th grade graduates, we'll congratulate you in June. Okay, so that's it for my comments. May we have a motion to adjourn and to go to executive session?
So moved.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, click on your other meeting thing.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.